talking about weightlifting. So personally, I came from more of a weightlifting background in high school. I played college, and that's kind of what we did. My friends, is we did weightlifting year round and that type of thing. So that's how I kind of started my journey. It's more of a football weightlifting background, and then once I got into college, did a little bit of running, but it was mostly weightlifting. And then once I got out of college, I started getting into endurance events, starting with 5Ks, and then just kind of branched out from there. So for myself and my athletes, I recommend basic weight training and strength training. It's I don't want to say, like I said, I'll break it up for you, but basically recommend it all year long. But usually I taper off the strength training 2 to 3 weeks before you're doing like a race or an event. You want to allow your body to recover. So if you're doing that extra strength training and stuff, you're adding more stress to the body when you should be tapering and starting to recover. So those 2 to 3 weeks before a race or an event or something like that is usually when I start tapering off true strength work. Still doing flexibility stuff, but not as much strength. So I break it down into kind of what season you are in your training. So typically for me, the winter, you're going from November, December, and January. That's typically what I call my off season when I'm kind of working strength up. I'm signed up for Ironman Tulsa in 2021 in May. So usually when January hits, I'm going to be in a race specific training. But when I'm kind of more of a base season, off season, post season, whatever you want to call it, I'm trying to get in more strength. Right now it's a little bit difficult with gyms being closed and whatnot. I do have medicine balls, I've got kettlebells, I've got plenty of stuff at home, and there's plenty of body weight stuff you can do. But at that point in time, I'm hitting higher weight, lower reps, so I'm working more just pure brute strength. So you're doing your more functional strength, bench presses, squats, just more pure weight stuff. I like to mix in some Olympic stuff and too back from the days of high school football, the strength and lifts we do. So that base season was when I like to get in really heavy stuff and really build that strength back up. And then once I transition to a race specific plan, it's more higher rep, lower weight type of stuff, a lot of body weight stuff. You're doing, and this whole time, you're hitting the core, specifically because the core is what everything runs through. Swim, bike, and run all runs through the core. So if you don't have a strong core, everything else is going to kind of fall on the backside. So base season, you're working. Then this is what I recommend. Some people might think a little bit different, but I recommend higher weight and lower reps, and you're working more strength work. You're working more max reps and that type of thing. And then once your rate specific training starts stepping up, when you're going longer distances on the bike and the run, you're adding more stress to your body. You need to be able to recover more, and it takes more out of you if you're doing higher strength work. So kind of revert back to body weight and lower weights and more reps. And you're still doing strength training, and I'd put in 2 to 3 times a week, usually 30 minutes or less or something like that, because let's face it, with swim, bike, and run going on, with families being time crunched, it's kind of hard to carve out a full hour to go to a gym or something like that, because most people don't have the access to the stuff in their homes. But for my athletes, if they can't get to a gym, I try to make sure that if they've got a routine that they can do at home by themselves. There's milk jugs, you can use canned goods, you can use chairs, you can use couches, you can use your kids as weights and different things. So there's plenty of ways to make it work, but race specific, higher rep, lower weight. And then, like I said, there's certain weeks that are kind of a transition week where you're not really putting in super high intensity, you're not putting in a lot of workload, you're letting your body kind of soak in things. And so I'll take a week off of weightlifting for athletes and myself. And then we start building again in the race specific training. So then you add the strength back in. So you cycle it up. And as you get closer to race day, 2 to 3 weeks out, kind of cycle off the strength training, keep doing flexibility stuff, maybe some core work. But you're allowing all that training to kind of soak in to get your fitness as high as possible, to make sure you're fresh on race day, to make sure your body's not needing recovery. Because if you're doing consistent high weight training, if you've done that in the past, that maybe you're not sore, but you're tired and you're worn out, and recovery just takes a minute, and it just wipes you out. So we've got to make sure that we do that appropriately in the context of doing training for endurance events, because you will stress yourself out, and we don't want to overtrain, and we don't have injuries. So hopefully that kind of helps you out, and kind of what I recommend as far as training goes. So any other questions, put them in the comments, and happy training.